You're listening to a 58 Ember production.
Hi there, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Completely Fucking Clueless podcast. My name is Audrey Jean Flowers.
And my name is Sarah Alice Liddy, and we both use she, her pronouns. And we're in my apartment yet again.
We are.
I don't think I ever expected to record this much here, but I'm happy we are.
Yeah.
It's a space. And we were not supposed to be with you alone this week.
We were supposed to have a guest.
Yes.
The holidays get crazy.
You guys, this holiday season is not feeling very great.
I can't, it was still in the 50s today, so it doesn't feel at all like it's the holidays. I literally, when Julia texted me today and asked me, when are you coming home, figuring out our plan, and I was like, oh, I go home this weekend. Next week is Christmas.
Literally Monday, a week from today is Christmas, right? Yes. A week from today.
Fuck, my dude.
I know. I don't know. This year, the yuletide is not feeling so gay.
Yeah, I think part of it is it just really doesn't feel like Christmas. It's just not cold enough for me to even feel like it's winter.
100%. The other night when I went and saw the tree, I was wearing a jacket that I got from Universal Standard from our modeling gig that was supposed to be for fall.
Yeah, no,
because it was 50 degrees.
I literally haven't worn a heavier jacket than my little green one that I have right over there that I wear over here. And most of the time when I wear a jacket, I've been too warm. But I also agree. I haven't been feeling very gay. I've been really just feeling in a slump again.
Yeah.
And feeling a little depresso espresso.
Yeah.
And I always struggle with the shorter days, and I feel like that's part of it. But I'm this is so psychotic to say, but I was thinking about this on the way over of struggling with depression is very much something that you have harder times.
Yes.
Worse times. That's not really narratively satisfying. This narratively satisfying movie version would have had this whole hard start of a year and then build up to whatever, and I just kind of feel like I'm ending the year where I started again. I'm not feeling great. I feel like I'm minorly spiraling, and yeah, just feeling not great.
Yeah. It took me a second. You were the narrative, and I was wait, what? And then I realized
in the arc of the story.
Yes, the arc of the story would have been the first 6 months are hard, and then you're building, and it's boom.
And you get past it. Whereas unfortunately life is not narratively satisfying, and most of the time if you have depression, it's something it's gonna keep being a problem.
It is going to keep being a problem. Yeah, depression is weird in that way. It just loves to come in these waves, and at times that are not convenient to you or your life or anybody around you, because I feel I've been feeling a little bit lower lately too, and I agree with you that the days being so short are super impactful.
I'm fucking sick of it.
Yeah, it's it's every year I really think I'm prepared for it.
Every year it catches me off guard.
Yes, and then it happens. And I think this year is particularly hard because I moved right as it was happening, and so I was just used to my work from life home at my parents' house, which was a lot more I could get outside more. It felt easier to get outside versus in New York, I have to go down the elevator and outside, and then I'm where do I go? I'm I don't know where to go. At least at home I kind of just knew, and I had a car, and even if it was 20 minutes away, I was more willing to get in the car than go on the train, which is a very interesting choice. But no, I feel you. I feel I wake up and then I blink my eyes and it's dark out, and I'm going back to bed, and it kind of just feels this weird loop. I'm is life actually happening right now? Because it all just feels it is on this weird I want to say treadmill, but that is not this weird just whoa. It's also been a long work day. I've been Audrey got here nearly an hour ago, and of course the second you got here, work decided to slap me in the ass and give me so much shit to do. I was go home.
Okay, I sat on my phone and I went through TikTok.
Yeah, and she knitted.
Yeah, I've started knitting again. I'm really bad at it. If you want to grab, you can show people.
Want me to get it?
It's bad. It's very unimpressive. I'm not good at it. I'm not fast at it. I don't create something particularly impressive at all. But I technically have made something.
But I feel it's good probably for anxiety, right? It gives you something that you're doing.
So you can see I've created this tiny thing. It's taken me way longer than you would think to make this much. And it's not super good, as you can tell. But I've made something.
Exactly.
And it is about the action, and I'm trying to lean out. You know how people always tell you to lean in? I'm trying to lean out of the depression.
Oh.
I'm trying to lean out of like what my brain is yelling at me to do, which is disappear forever.
Yeah.
I'm trying to lean out.
Lean out. No, it reminds me of like the whole like concept in CBT, DBT, like opposite action.
Yes.
Doing the opposite of what your brain wants to
So
do.
just doing something slow. Knitting.
Yeah.
I'm so bad at it though.
But it's not. But I think it's nice, like, to have something that, like, even if you were like just sitting and watching TV or YouTube, and you're just like doing it, and it's like puts your mind like on something. Like, I know when I'm like not having to rush and I'm doing my makeup or like scrapbooking or doing something, like even like the last time I felt this way was when I was carving pumpkins this fall, and it's just like your full attention is on something and everything just seems to go away.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. But we haven't caught up with you guys like in a while, like kind of giving you a lowdown on our like life. I feel like the past like couple months of both of our lives, there's just been like,
I feel like both a lot and nothing. Not
Yes.
speaking for you, but for me.
no, I feel both of them though, because sometimes I feel like my life is like crazy, and then sometimes I'm like I've been sitting in this apartment for 4 days, you know? But yeah, I feel like as the year closes out, I'm just like, holy shit, this last couple of months have been like so crazy, and
I'm ready for a new fucking year. I need a new try. I need this year to end. And I know that like the
needs to be
illusion of a
over.
fresh start is an illusion and that it fades and blah blah blah. I just need the hope of like a fresh start of a new year of like this one's going to be a little bit better. Like
Yeah.
I need that.
yeah, no, it kind of feels like a fresh start. Like, you know, work will end this week. We will move forth, and when I come back to work, I'll be a new person.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly.
I will not be overwhelmed and stressed
I will not be
anymore.
burdened by any of the things I was previously. I will be fresh as a newborn babe.
I know. Well, trying to get into the Christmas spirit, Olivia and I went to the Rockefeller Tree this weekend.
Yes.
Everybody,
Which I've seen a lot.
Mhm.
I've seen a lot. I work by there.
We passed.
Context.
We passed. I called it your office when we
You
passed.
did,
it.
and you
Yes,
also
and to
texted that
you.
to me, and I thought that was really funny.
I was like, "That's Audray's office." It's a store, not an office, Sarah. Get that in your brain. But yeah, so I was like, because Olivia and I started dating during the pandemic, and for those first 2 years, we could not go see the tree. Last year, we all know what happened last year, and if you don't, go check out our New Year's.
They broke up briefly.
I was gonna lead them to another episode.
I know.
No, it's okay. We'll give it to you guys. We broke up briefly, and so I was like, this year I'm like determined to do all the
Yes.
cheesy couple shit. Never again. Never.
But
again.
I do feel like it's the type of stuff that like you really only need to do it once.
Yeah, like I hadn't been to the Bryant Park, you know, little festival market thing in so many years.
I also feel like they've gotten way more crowded, and maybe it's like the TikTokification of like there are little videos so more people know about it. Because I used to go to them like various Christmas markets, and they weren't as crazy as they are now. Like
Yeah.
now it is a miserable experience to walk through, which
Yeah.
is like unfortunate, but like
Olivia was saying the same thing, because I said literally the exact thing word for word. I was like, I remember coming here all the time in high school, and it was never like this. Like it felt like the most crowded part was the ice skating part, and I never was really doing that, like, you know. And now it is just absolutely wild, and I feel like so much of the crowding in these like New York City activities could be avoided if the NYPD did their job and did something. Like, you know, it's just absolutely wild.
So at work, I'm near like the big Saks Fifth Avenue like windows, which they always do, and I think are always beautiful. And I haven't really gotten to super check out, but like at night they're blasting music, and also like it causes so much like traffic issue and congestion in that area. I'm like, so how much money, how much of public taxpayer money is going towards paying all of these cops to go and watch over this area of something that is being caused by something a giant corporation is doing? Like, how much money are we paying to effectively like make their thing work? I'm like, shouldn't they have to fucking pay for that?
No, I think it's crazy because they're literally just standing there. And when I tell you, like, like there are children hysterically crying. There's people with strollers that can't go anywhere. I swear to God, I was like, this grandma's gonna have a heart attack. Like, it was scary because it almost felt like I was like nervous that something was gonna happen, like at the Travis Scott concert where people just get so fed up that they start running. And because the issue was like, you have people that are trying to go in all different directions like you normally would on a New York City street, but not with like literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. So you all just get into this crowd where nobody can go anywhere. And it was just so fucking intense. And kind of going back to like you said earlier, like as a kid, even like before the pandemic, I sincerely never remember it being this bad, even on a weekend. Like, sure, it was busy, but never like this.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
So work right near Rockefeller Center. When they like shut everything down for like the tree, there was so many cops everywhere, none of who could tell me how to get out. Like, it was difficult to get out because they shut it also down so much. And like I was literally trying to leave and there was all of these cops, none of who could tell me how I could get out.
That was the same thing with Pride.
So fun. Yes.
That's the same thing with Pride. None of them know where, because with Pride, for the parade, they
block off a lot of stuff.
Yes, they closed down a lot of streets and whatever. Totally understand. But
I would say what was weird about this was Pride, it's crazy packed. This was an instance where like it wasn't. It was only people who had tickets. Like it was. But like there definitely were people, but like not like swamps of people.
Right, because it was
I was literally just walking in a random area, but everything was so blocked off with gates. I was like, I kept trying to like take the various exits that I usually did, and they were like, no, you can't go that way. And I was like, let me leave. I want to go home.
That's ridiculous. No, I was thinking about you when I passed the store. I was like, I cannot.
It's gone full Times Square. There's like.
Yeah, no.
I feel like Mickey Mouse's, Grinches.
Literally, okay. I was taking a picture of the tree, and there was like a little like Mickey Mouse balloon, and I was like, this is definitely not the happiest place on earth. Like, this is awful. Like, honestly, it's not giving Christmas cheer or joy either, because everybody is just yelling at each other. Like, Olivia got pushed into this guy who was holding his daughter on his shoulders. I get it. He was feeling protective over his daughter, but he starts yelling at Olivia and I like, do you see who I have on my shoulders? And we're like, dude, we do not want to hurt you or your daughter at all. Like, you have to understand that we were pushed into you. And then he starts pushing me from behind to like, and then we are just tumbling out of it. It was wild.
Not it.
It was not it. Yeah. So I would recommend not going until January. My friend Erin works at 30 Rock for SNL, and she was like, yeah, just like don't come back until January.
Yeah.
So, you know what? I will say, though, Bryant Park was better than the whole tree situation.
I can believe that.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was a little less congested. You know, you can go into the stores and like see what little thingies they have. And that's like, you know, the cute thing is that you get introduced to like new cute little shops. But yeah, I think New York should really have a talk with themselves next holiday season and figure this shit out.
Yeah, except for like it's probably mostly not New Yorkers. It's probably mostly tourists.
Oh no, I meant more like the regulation of the crowd. I think it would be wise if like we had one section going this way and one going that way, so that we could like maybe not die.
I doubt it.
Yeah, I doubt it too, but it's nice to think that they care.
It is infuriating seeing so many cops on like the street doing literally nothing and just standing there, knowing that like our libraries are having their funding cut. Like, libraries are now not open all days of the week. And, like, there's serious funding being cut to, like, really good programs like Pre-K for All. And, like, serious things are losing their funding. And then there's, like, so many people being paid to just stand there. Or, like, the stupid robot cop in Times Square, like, station.
Wait, what?
Have
There's
you not
a
seen
robot?
about, like, yeah, it's this giant robot. It like, I do not understand how it could possibly do anything to stop crime. And then for a while they were paying even more police to go and watch it. I've seen it in Times Square a couple of times. They've have been testing it out for like the last 6 months. And most of the time there's a group of like 6 cops right near it watching it. I have no idea what it does, but they've definitely spent an outrageous amount of fucking money on it, and it doesn't do anything.
Wow. No, it is infuriating, just like literally standing there and like seeing all this chaos happen, and literally the police are just standing there like, I'm like, bro, like do something.
I've also been watching a lot of there's someone who does like a series of video essays about like how cops, how our view of cops has been shaped by various media, like going back to like the first cop shows, like I think it was Dragnet is the first really big one, like were created partially due to the LAPD. The LAPD got like some say in over the stories they did, and they gave them like access to things that they wouldn't have had, and how like the cops have been somewhat always intertwined with a lot of cop shows, and how cop shows treat them with a very positive light.
I think this was you. Yes, because you show. Did we watch an episode of something about this?
Yes, we were
Yes.
stoned, weren't we?
Maybe.
I think I made you watch maybe last week tonight or something.
Yes.
Or maybe something else.
Because I remember this. Yes.
And like, so I finally went and watched the last season of, we're getting really off topic here. I finally went and watched the last season of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, which I'd kind of been saving for. I really liked the show, and I just knew someday I was going to want to see more of it. And so I've been watching it. And then I also went and watched this person's response to it. And I do think they did a pretty good job in like that final season of like, and I do think the show overall, more than other cop shows, sort of faces the realities of it. But like the final season does, I think, a decent job of like showing how like impossible it is to even like punish police officers when they do anything bad, and how it's an inherently broken system. Wow,
Yeah.
I'm getting real depressing this episode.
You know what? That's okay. You're speaking your truth.
I'm speaking my truth.
You're speaking your truth.
Anyway, I kind of forgot where I was going with that, but
That's okay.
let me see if I can find the name of the YouTuber, because it is a really interesting series he does.
Okay. While you do that, I actually have a clueless moment of the week.
Slay.
Clueless moment of the week. So I think I've said this on the last episode. Oh wait, did you find it?
Their name is Skip Intro.
Skip intro, everybody.
I like, they do a whole like long series, Propaganda.
Propaganda, that's a good
Mhm.
name.
I'm sure they didn't come. I'm sure that's been said before. I'm sure propaganda has been said
I
before.
bet it
this
has, but
man.
it's definitely clever. I like it.
But no, it's a very interesting series, and I mean, like, it brought some fair critiques against Brooklyn Nine-Nine, which like is a show I like, but like, yeah. Anyway,
I love it.
it also shows how white America's waning interest in the Black Lives Matter movement and like against police brutality, and how like white Americans have quickly lost interest, and how when like polling on like people who are like pro or against, the numbers have actually returned to what they were pre George Floyd, and actually gotten worse as far as support for the Black Lives Matter movement.
Honestly, that doesn't shock me though.
Yeah, I mean,
Like as sad as that is, like I don't think that necessarily shocks me, because I feel like, especially with like the sort of activism that goes on today, it's like there's these really heightened moments of it,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden it's like, everybody is trying to do or save this thing, and then it sort of weans away.
we take like one step forward and then two back, like
Yeah.
going from Obama to Trump,
Yeah.
and like, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. I've been stewing a lot on the idea of, and I've also seen a lot of people talking about the reason what has brought up the stewing is this Netflix movie called May December, I think.
Okay.
That's based off of I believe a book, maybe, but the book or movie, whichever, is based off of like the real life story of this like white 30s 40s-year-old something woman who had an affair with her like 12-year-old student. And
Interessant.
anyway, the movie, a lot of it is about like white women's tears. And I've been stewing a lot on like the concept of like white people's comfort being more important in a lot of society, or in a lot of the time, than like the safety of non-white Americans.
Yeah.
We've taken a real political turn with this episode that wasn't planned.
You know what?
And
And that's podcasting for you.
yeah, I think we're a year out from an election, and we're not really sure what's going to happen in that election, and also, you know, the U.S. is helping fund a genocide. Not feeling good about that both of our options are pro supporting a genocide.
Yeah, there's just a lot of like weight in the world, but I think that doesn't make the holiday season any easier.
No.
I think, and especially like, let's think about it, like when you have to sit down at the table with your family, and maybe people start talking about things that you don't agree with, you're not comfortable with, and because I know I've been there before, and it's definitely challenging.
Mm-hmm.
And it's challenging to talk to people who don't have the same view as you, and you know that you can't really have a good discussion about it with.
But then it's also like, oh, if we all just like reduce ourselves to echo chambers, like we can't just not talk to anyone who has a different point of view.
No,
but then
totally.
like also usually the more that you try and convince someone of something, the more likely they are to not believe you.
Yeah.
And there's even it's called like a backfire fallacy or something like that. I'm not calling it the right name, but like how there's this thing when like you show someone absolute proof of something and it instead has the opposite effect. Hi, Liz.
Hi, Liz. Oh, wow. I didn't even hear you come in.
I didn't either. No.
Oh,
We didn't hear you at
we
all.
Didn't hear
We're
you.
too high on our own fucking supply.
I thought you were going to say we're too high, and I was like, I don't think I took an edible
No.
before.
Anyway, I've gone wildly into a different pocket.
That's okay.
But
That's okay.
that is an aspect of the holidays. And I mean, like, I
No,
would
it
say,
is.
even with my family, like,
How do you cope with it? How do you set boundaries around it?
so here's the thing that this isn't a solution. And there's been a lot of debate within like my immediate family of whether or not like this is the right call. We used to have like a lot of cousins, aunts and uncles, who like I grew up really close with. Like their kids were around the same age as me, and like we grew up to being very tight. And we've definitely grown apart significantly over the last decade. And I feel like it's been a little solidified by like they moved to South Carolina. But like that started being an issue, around the Trump election and like the year leading up to that. And I was a senior in high school, like kind of coming of age with that. Like I was really close with one of the uncles.
Yeah.
And we just progressively grew further apart until like kind of split and just like don't really do family events together. And particularly because they're further away. But like I know all of my families had different sort of points of view, and I know my mom has really struggled with like, do you just completely cut them out? And my sister very much feeling of the mindset of not, whereas like I more am of the extremist mindset of like, I
don't want anything to do with you.
No, like, yeah, if you don't believe in basic rights for like gay people, like,
yeah,
you can't love me and also support someone who doesn't believe in me having equal rights.
No, totally. There was a family member of my family who like, and I couldn't tell if the support was coming from the support towards Trump was coming from the influence of the partner that they had in their life at the time. This is maybe a conversation I should have over the holidays with this person, seeing their belief system. But that was the point I was trying to get across, was like, you cannot support this person and love me and support me at the same time. Like, they just seem like so opposite.
And like, especially just like, it comes from such a place of privilege. Like the same uncle, like he doesn't believe that like having the right to an abortion is an inherent right, but you best believe when his daughter, who currently or did live in Texas, I think at the time, got pregnant, you best believe he got her an abortion.
That's ridiculous.
And I know different people in my family have different points of views. I'm kind of like good riddance, don't really want to particularly have a relationship with them, but I also acknowledge like that's not the solution of just completely like cutting people out. Like that's not a solution.
Because that's what I do. Like, this is not like kind of with family and politics or different views with family, but that's kind of what I do in like my interpersonal relationships. If I have like different views than somebody, or we have a disagreement, or like I just feel myself like not being as close with them, instead of like trying to do something about it, sometimes like I just don't do anything about it at all, and I let the relationship dissolve. And I've definitely had moments of regret when it comes to that. So that's something I don't want to do.
And like
it's hard to find the balance.
I've always been like pretty politically involved, like even from a young age, like just kind of was a part of who I was. And I don't know if it's just me getting older, or like I feel like there very much was a time when like the chasm between the two different sides didn't feel that wide. And
no, I think with Trump it really became
but
like,
I'm also like, did that just like bring it to light? Did that just like
oh, that's a good point.
Like with when Obama was elected president, like a lot of like white liberals got to be like, we did it, we won, like racism has ended. Like where's that? Obviously was clearly not the case. Our experience
has ended.
Yeah. And did it just like unearth it? Was it always like the truth? Like did it just make it more obvious? Did they just stop saying the quiet part, and so we were like, white people were no longer allowed to sort of get off the hook and be like, oh, they're like socially liberal but fiscally conservative. Like,
because I've heard that statement a lot, like growing up,
and that's even how my dad used to describe himself.
Yeah, no, my father too, because I feel like opposed to you, I didn't grow up that political because I feel like my family never really talked about it. It was never really, and that's a privilege in itself, was that like I never had to really worry about my basic human rights because like I'm of me being white.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like I know that I like not cause fights. My family debates a lot. And I know like I tend to be more pushy on it, whereas like my dad tends to be a lot of like let's leave politics and religion like away for right now. But I'm also like, and admittedly sometimes like, yeah, sometimes I can just settle and I should just settle and let it go. But it's also like, no, but like you are privileged enough that we get to say that. Like, what about for people who are not? Like, and like I try and point out to my dad, like, you are a straight white man. He has had a hard life and a lot of really difficult things in his life. And I think it's really hard for him to understand. I'm not saying that he didn't win that, but like, we get to choose to sit back and kind of whatever happens and we'll be fine.
Yeah.
Like, we're always going to be in like pretty liberal areas. Like, we have access, like we are white, like we're going to be fine. But like for other people, that's not the case. And like, we can't just sit back and not engage all the time. Like, that is a privilege to be able to do so. But like, being a like ally isn't about like being passively supportive.
No, I 100% agree with that statement. I was having this conversation with Olivia that I was just like feeling like some people in my life like weren't really, you know, like addressing my relationship with Olivia. It was like they're okay with it, but it's like a don't ask, don't tell thing. And it doesn't make me feel like you actually support me. It makes me feel like you don't actually support me.
Like they still love me in spite of whatever.
Right. It seems like this weird, I think it feels... I know it's just this weirdest feeling because you have somebody tell you like I love you and then I support you, but then you don't ever ask about my relationship. There's some phobia around some other things involving my relationship, like, and it makes you feel like, does this person actually like support me, or is it kind of like like don't ask, like don't tell, like I can support you if you don't really show it off to me. Like, you know, sort of a vibe. I don't know, it's so complicated. And I know that like something that I struggle with around the holidays is like, you know, Olivia and I go to each other's houses, and sometimes I struggle with like really being my full comfortable self in my relationship around my family, because I am like, are they really okay with this? What do they really think of this? Like, you know, we're not really talking about it all the time. So like, you know, how comfortable are we? So yeah, I think the holidays just bring up a lot of different shit. And then I know like my family has like some other drama going on. And so like now we're all going to be put in the same place together. And I'm just like, this is going to be interesting.
It certainly is.
This is going to be interesting. My tactic for it, everybody, is it's not my fucking business. It doesn't have to do with politics, by the way. This is different from politics, but I was like, you know what? I'm the child in this situation. Me and my cousins are the children, and we have that out, is that we're the children and not the adults.
I'm still sat at the children's table, which admittedly in my family is an under 40. You have to be above 40
but
to like
get to the
that
adult
barometer
table.
just keeps moving. Like, I think the answer is I'm never going to leave the kids' table.
Yeah, we've, you know, I guess I don't know if we ever really did a kids and adults table. All I remember is like us always just kind of sitting together.
We often did because our families would get too big to all be together.
My family's not that big, so.
Yeah. And what I always remembered is my oldest sister, who, like, this is fair, she's 23 years older than me, has always made the adult table, and I never have. And I probably never will.
Who wants to be at the adult table? Let's be real.
Well, what I would say is not this past Thanksgiving, but the Thanksgiving before, because I don't think this past one we didn't have separate tables, but the one before we had a bigger Thanksgiving and we did have separate tables. And so the kids' table was like a 8 and a 9-year-old, or maybe Luca was, I think, 10 at that point, an 8 and a 10-year-old. and then a bunch of 20-somethings. Some who were really drunk.
Yep. Yeah.
Some were
I
on
love that juxtaposition.
mushrooms and drunk and stoned. Some who were just drunk and stoned. Like, it was all different combinations. And it's like, if anything, I feel like we're actually the people who shouldn't be left with the children.
No, 100%. That's how I feel because I have one younger cousin, like we're all like in our past 21s and he is 15. And sometimes I'm just like, this poor kid.
Yeah.
Like, this is not how we were, at 15.
We shouldn't be leaving this impression on the youth.
Right. Like, everybody here. I mean, granted, like, my youngest brother doesn't really drink, but like, I don't know. For me, I'm like, holidays are a day drink. I'm
Yeah, like that's the
like, I want to have a little fun.
all of us children were absolutely wasted or fucked up in some sort of way. I do think it'll be really interesting for me when my niece and my nephew start drinking. Like, that's going to be very strange.
Oh my God, you want to hear something funny? So
Yes.
I was home the other day because my grandmother was in town, and Aiden goes, Sarah, what's the name of your podcast? And I go, completely and because my Nana was at the table, and he goes, I was like, okay, cool.
Whenever they see, because my phone, here it is. My phone has a little
Pop
pop
socket.
socket.
Pop
Don't know why I
socket.
couldn't find that fucking word. I think it was, I don't know what I was trying to say. Anyway, and whenever they see it, they're like, we know what that means. And I was like, I know.
Good for you.
I think it's funny, particularly because, like, I don't know. I'm not really that attached to not letting kids swear. I think they should be taught, like, you never use this against someone. But, like, I think it's kind of silly how much we stop kids from swearing. I don't think it matters that much. Like, and my family's not great at not swearing around the kids. Like, they very much know once they're old, they'll be allowed to swear and no one's
Right.
gonna care. But they get so, and like whenever because they know that we're not supposed to swear in front of them, they like are so on it to notice whenever we do and like
Yeah.
bring it up so much. And
Oh,
it's like,
of course, that's like the kids' job. They like, so and so said a curse word,
and it's like, I don't care.
I know.
I don't care if I swear in front of you, my dude. You're old enough.
You know what it means. You know what it means. So also, I think something that kind of can come up around the holidays is like overwhelm and stress. I think we've both been feeling it. We talked about it a little bit on the beginning of the episode, but how do you feel like you can identify when you are feeling like overwhelmed and stressed? I know for me, like, I think the first thing that goes is my sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Like, in the last month, I've noticed that I've been having a really hard time sleeping, and that's usually because I'm feeling like enhanced or increased like physical anxiety symptoms.
I start being self-destructive.
Okay.
I like won't do a good job. I'll do all the things that make anxiety worse.
Okay.
I will either eat too much or eat too little. I
Okay.
won't hydrate myself.
Yeah.
It just becomes like my space becomes a mess. It's very obvious. Like, I have very obvious tells when I'm doing worse.
And so how have you been trying to cope with it? Like, how have you been trying to like not do it?
I've not been doing a super good job of it.
But
I
that's
do
okay.
think I had people around for like a week, and that
Okay,
was
good.
nice.
Yes, because your sister and mom were in town.
Yes.
Yes.
And Julia was briefly in town.
Okay, yes.
And I do think like part of the sun going down earlier is we all do less socializing because I think we don't really want to leave our house. Like, seeing people was nice.
100%, you guys. Like, I feel like I have felt so, and I can't tell, and I think it's a mixture of both, is like me working from home, so I'm spending a lot of time in the apartment. But then I agree, like, when it is dark at 5 p.m. and you've been sitting in your apartment in your sweats all day, it feels really hard to like take a shower, get your makeup on, get a whole fit on, and go out at like 9 o'clock at night.
Yes.
I'm like, what's the point?
Literally.
Yeah, it feels really hard.
And I feel like for a long time I was a person who didn't give up and like rode so hard, and now I feel like I've turned into, and I hate admitting this, and I don't like this about myself, I've turned into a person like who throws in the towel quite easily.
I think though, as long as like something that I wrote down, because something that I was reading about like with the holidays and emotions and things is like the power of saying no. And I think that with the power of saying no, I have been like practicing that, is just like communicating it.
Yeah.
Being like, hey, like, honestly, I have this other thing that I've been planning for a while that I really want to commit my attention to, or like, I've had a long day at work and honestly, I can't like get myself to get up right now.
Yeah.
I'm trying my best to that, like, because I feel like in years past, whether it's the holidays or just generally, like, I would tell like white lies around why I wouldn't go to things, like, especially when I was younger. My mom kind of always like let me use her and my father as the excuse. Oh, my parents said I can't. Oh, I have to lose my parents.
I would say in the best way, my mom would always let me throw her under the bus.
Yeah. I feel like as a parent should.
Yeah.
You know, like my mom would be like, oh yeah, just tell them that like we're going to dinner tonight. But I feel like as an adult who is now moved out of the house, I can't say like, oh, my mom said I can't, you know? And so
my mommy said no.
Mom said no. So now I'm trying to be a little bit more honest and just being like, hey, like I'm just like kind of overwhelmed right now. And I know that may not please everybody. I know that could be still disappointing. And I'm like, you can feel disappointed in me. Like I totally get it. And I just know that if I go to something that I don't want to go to, like it's just not going to be fun for you or me.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think it can be hard. And I think people on the other side of it, because I know I've been on the other side of it, it can be hurtful.
Yes.
So I try my best to think about that other person and think about like, oh, like what's going on in their lives. Like, you know, work is busy for all people right now. Everybody's wrapping it up before the holiday season, family, all of this. So don't only extend yourself grace, but extend the people in your life grace, because you truly don't know what they're going through.
I think I've really been struggling. Just like I've been really bitter and fucking negative within my own mind.
Interesting.
And I've been really struggling fighting it. And I really don't feel like I have good advice right now. I feel like
I think that's okay though. Like sometimes you're bitter and sad and angry. And kind of like what we touched on last week, like I think the holidays can bring up a lot of like loss and grief, and that can be very
a lot.
Yeah, that can be very painful.
Like it's like the first holidays for me without my grandmother, like
right, which are the hardest.
The first suck.
They're miserable.
It sucks, and like I got through Thanksgiving pretty good, so I kind of was convinced that I was gonna like I'd solved grief, you know, I'd fixed it. And that's not the case. I've cried a lot.
I swear, it doesn't matter what holiday is, somebody's crying about my cousin. Yeah. And I think when I was younger, I would get so angry about it because I was like, I just want my old family jolly holidays back. You know, the idea of the holiday being perfect. And I think as I've grown up and have learned that, like, that's just not the case.
Yeah. And so I'm letting myself be a little sad. I'm going to try in these next few days, like, push myself to get it together a little bit. Because, again, I've been kind of just leaning in and just, I don't know, I think I was in survival mode with getting through depression for so long. And the best way to survive and literally not want to die was just to sort of shut down. And that is not helping me anymore. That is hindering me.
Yeah. Yeah. Even the small things that you can do to like lean out, as you said, whether that's like, you know, I'm going to make myself a sandwich for dinner. It's not like a gourmet meal, but it's you're putting
I'm going to eat.
Yeah, putting some substance into
I'm going to take out the trash. It'll take like 1 minute, and for some reason like I've been desperately avoiding it, like taking that shower. Like I don't know why. When I'm in the shower I like it, but the before and the after of a shower, miserable.
Yeah. I've been loving a slow, like I've been trying to do like more of like a slow night routine where it's like I'm really just like I had one night where I just like sat in the shower for 30 minutes and it was super hot and it just felt like I came out of it a new person. I was like, I am alive. Yesterday I like cleaned my room even though I really didn't want to do that. But once
I'm cleaning my space tonight. You feel so much better.
You do. Oh my God.
Do whatever you have to do to like do the cleaning. Like this is so embarrassing.
Wait, what?
I mean, not really. It's very on brand for me. But like something that like will tend to like motivate me and get me like to go a little bit and give me a little momentum even when I'm totally slow. Putting on fucking show tunes. I'm a music theater bitch through and through, and it works.
Audrey, the amount of times I've showed up at your door and like I'm hearing the theater music galore, show tunes. It's so fucking funny.
It was my number one genre for Spotify this year. I don't think it's ever been my number one genre before, and that was so humiliating.
No,
but
it's not.
Works.
Theater
like
music's so good.
I know, but it's so fucking cringy to be a theater kid.
6 the other night.
Yes.
It was so good. There was this girl, it's the third Queen song, and she's the queen that she died from childbirth.
See, I don't give a shit about that
Fuck.
song. I find
Oh
that
my
song
God.
boring.
Okay,
I skip it every time I listen to that show.
it's a boring song, but the girl who
Yes,
sang
it's
it,
always the most incredible singers.
oh my
I know, but it's
God.
called Heart of Stone. I just don't give a shit.
Yes.
But I'll put on Wicked, and like
Ah.
that opening song, like a sleigh.
It's dancing through life is a sleigh. When I was younger, whenever I was feeling down, I'd listen to Dancing Through Life.
I all the time in my living room would do renditions of. I would get like our our broom that we used for cleaning in our house, and I would do my little Defying Gravity, and I would fake clean the floors doing It's a Hard Knot Life.
Oh
like
my
honestly, I
God.
think that like Sleeper Agent style, if you put on a Hard Knot Life, it might just make me start cleaning.
Honestly, I get that, but it's like even last night, once I was done cleaning, like it was hard to get myself to do it, but then once I was in it, I was doing it, and it was
just
good.
The starting is
It was a starting. I
impossible.
literally started at 8, finished at 10. But you know what? It
No,
still
it's so
happened.
funny, y'all. I'll make out
happened.
cleaning to be the most daunting thing in my mind, and it'll take 30 minutes.
No, and like something I want to implement when I come back to the apartment after the break is because it gets dusty really fast in here. So I've been doing
not having carpets like in college, you get dusty very quickly.
fast.
Yeah.
So I'm like, let me just like put on my calendar because it will literally take me 30 minutes and I won't have to like do this huge fucking deep clean every 3 weeks if I just dust everything real quick. But once I had finished cleaning last night, like I was just like, it's so clean. And I was like, this is like kind of like and then the little joys. Like I took a shower after and then I did a face mask and I was watching Below Deck. And I was just like, okay, like I'm going to be okay.
Do the thing that's nice for yourself, even if it is not the path of least resistance. Like
Yeah.
I think I really will conflate what is easy to do with what is the good thing to do, and I'll be like, oh, I want to give myself a break, I'll do the thing that's easy to do, and it's like, well, that's not the thing that's good for you though.
Yeah, you know what I've been thinking a lot too is like the thing that you would say about how you would get yourself to like take your makeup off, how it's like I stayed up long enough to do XYZ, I can take the couple extra minutes,
literal 30
right
90 seconds
whatever it is to do this other thing that's going to be good for me. So I've been thinking about that a lot lately, especially when it comes to like the things like I'm in bed, I don't want to get up and like wash my face, like things like that. I'm like, you know what, like let me just do it, I'll feel better for it, but it's definitely not always the easiest thing.
Yeah, I am not the best at getting myself, I'm not the best boss of myself. Yeah.
Be the boss of yourself.
I have been debating though, because I'm trying to, I feel like I've been kind of spiraling this weekend a little, and trying to do a little bit better before I go home for a couple of days. And I'm like, maybe if I just treat myself like a sim, like just full disassociate, pretend I'm playing Sims, and that I'm my little sim, and I'm making this. I'm like, will that help? Am I getting more crazy? Am I getting more insane?
I don't think
So we'll see. Let's see how disassociation goes.
Coping mechanism, disassociation.
I still crack up when a year ago we were invited to a Spotify dinner and they invited us to like the wellness like podcast dinner. And I still, whenever I explain that to people, I'm like, I think it's because we're an example of unwellness.
Unwellness. I think we're an example of like both, honestly. I just think that we like touch on a lot of different types of wellness, whether it's self-care, mental wellness, physical wellness, and it may not like be perfect, but it's just like our honest, authentic journey with all of the wellnesses, because I think it can be really hard to admit to the world that like you're not doing okay, that you're like not like cleaning or you're not doing this or that. Like it can be really hard and vulnerable, but I think I like to talk about it because I always think when I'm feeling really down on myself, I'm like, I know somebody else is like feeling this too.
Also, this is something I was thinking about, I think, on the way here. To anyone going home for the holidays who's going to have their families and like everyone, like at the end of the year, everyone's like, what'd you do this year? And like, and you have to go and tout out. I have no accomplishments. It's okay if your accomplishment for this year is that I made it to the end of the year. Like literally, that's probably like, we kept the podcast going, but like with the exception of kind of that, I have not really anything to show for this year. And like, not in a way that's being mean to myself, like I'm giving you permission of like it sucks to feel like you have nothing to show for this year. But I'm giving you permission to say fuck you to your family if they ask you about this year. And you can always take the me route, which is be genuinely very honest in a way that makes them uncomfortable. When people are like, what'd you do this year? And I was like, I didn't kill myself. I wouldn't really recommend that. But I give you permission to like feel like you had a successful year if all you did this year was not fucking die.
Yeah. But that's true. I think that's another thing the holidays bring up is that, especially extended family that you're not seeing all the time.
You want to be impressive.
How are you doing? How are things going? Da 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 da. And like, even though I have like some things that I did this year that I'm really proud of, it still can feel a lot of pressure. I know for me, the thing that I hate when my family asks when I go home is like, why aren't you singing? When are you going to start singing again? You're so talented. Like, I'm like, oh my God.
They're asking me about dating.
Up,
and I'm like,
please.
do you want me to explain how I'm on an incredibly high dose of antidepressants and they make it so I really just have no sexual or really romantic interests?
Maybe we can like turn it on them. I'll be like, so.
Well, that is what I always do, is I always turn it on them and I do tell them the truth. The truth is not really what people want most of the time, and it does make people uncomfortable.
No, it does. It does. I'm thinking of that Noelle story when the guy came up to her and asked her about her eye, and she was like, actually, yes. I wasn't born with an eye. Like, what do you want to say now?
I'll never forget, because Julia, my best friend, she knows my family really well. I definitely don't know hers as well. And that's just the way that it's worked out. And now it's reached a point where, like, if we hung out and we didn't see my family get upset. But so there was one summer. It was the summer that I started antidepressants. I went to dinner with her parents in Boston, and my family was away. I think they were doing, like, a grad trip for my sister. And so they were, like, in Europe for a while. So I was home alone, like... in a town where I don't know anyone, and I was starting antidepressants. And I told them about how, like, oh yeah, I'm taking like 3 online courses right now. I'm currently living alone in my house. And they were like, oh, that must be really depressing. And I was like, so I did just start antidepressants actually, now that you bring that up. So that's part of the moment I went into that, and then I realized, like, they didn't know how to respond to that, and they just, I think, changed the subject.
Yeah. Making people uncomfortable is so interesting.
I think I used to do it by accident a lot, because I used to struggle and still kind of do sometimes with like social cues stuff. And now I kind of find like a weird joy from it. Like, I remember like there was like middle school into high school, there was a lot of jokes always made about like me being a ginger and like having no soul and the devil and whatnot. And so I started getting ahead of people and making the jokes before they did and going way further than they would. And because it would make people uncomfortable and I would beat them to the punch.
Right. So they wouldn't say it to you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because I would just go like a little too far.
Right. That's how I feel about talking about like things like with weight and family. Like, I feel like people will always, like, family members would approach me with their concerns or thoughts about me and my body. So now, like, sometimes I feel like I'm like jumping ahead and I'll be like, I'm on Manjaro, like I've lost this amount of weight and like stuff. And I even find myself doing that with like accomplishments. Like, sometimes I think I'm very accomplishment oriented and feel that like my worth is just like so surrounded by my accomplishments. So like I'll just like beat everybody to the punch and tell them all the amazing things about myself, so like I can just like get it out of the way, which is like not the best thing to do. I don't know. I like what I love about the holidays is when like we can just like laugh and have fun, like, and maybe it's, you know, not focused on me all the time. Like the other day I had a little bit of like a pre-Christmas dinner with my Nana and my family, and we were talking about Aiden's dating life, and I was just like so intrigued and asking him all the questions about like Hinge, and he feels so comfortable going on dates, and he goes on these long dates, and I'm just like, and he's talking about learning how to, his old girlfriend taught him that like he needs to open the door for her, and so now he's brought that into his dating. I'm like, this is so fucking interesting.
And like, there are a lot of things to celebrate. Like, my brother and his husband just put an offer on a house. Like, that is so exciting. I think it's supposed to close at the very, very end of February.
Nice.
Like, and that is so exciting. Like, this is the first holidays that I'm spending with my brother and his husband in 17 years.
Nice.
I have not spent Christmas with them in 17 years.
That is exciting.
Yeah, like they're so I'm trying to find space to like both be excited and bring joy and acknowledge the joy and excitement of the good things.
Yes.
And like, let myself feel and like be real about like the things that are shitty, but also trying to make sure to hold space for the things that are good and are exciting.
Yeah. I'm excited to watch. I have this tradition with my mom. We watch The Holiday, so I'm excited for that. As stressful as family can be, I am so excited to see my family. I do love and enjoy their presence, and I love the feeling of just like being in the kitchen, everybody's in the same space, and, like, you're drinking a glass of wine.
I love like our holiday routine. Like people sleep in pretty late. We like do stockings, then we make this whole breakfast brunch, and we do eggs Benedict, and then we do presents. And my sister and I, my dad goes and makes himself an eggnog latte, and my sister and I like, do you want to make 2 more? And he says no, and then we badger him some, and then he begrudgingly makes us some.
Yeah,
and then we have mimosas with breakfast, and I've started making my sister Taryn do y'all's tradition of pound the first one.
I love how
so it's me and my 40-something-year-old sister are the only two who do it.
Chuck, I love a mimosa after like on Christmas morning. Like that is my favorite thing ever. Like, you know, especially as my brothers and I get older, like there really aren't as many Christmas presents under the tree. You know, my parents helped me get a lot of furniture this year, so I'm not really like asking for things, but like I genuinely love like giving gifts, and like when you get
trying
it right,
to find a good gift.
Yeah, and when the person's just like really happy with the thing that you got them, you know, I'm excited. I've become close with my partner's family.
Don't know what I'm giving my dad.
No, I
or
still need
my brother-in-law.
I still need to order some presents, you guys, which is kind of scary.
I have a couple more gifts I need to physically buy. I need to physically buy mine for my oldest sister. I need to physically buy mine for you. I need to physically buy the one for Julia. But for them, all three, I have planned what I'm doing. No, I've already bought for sister. I think it's just Julia and you that I need to buy for. But then I don't have a plan for my father at all.
I don't have a plan for my dad either. I got him a little something at the Bryant Park thing, but otherwise, I'm batting zero. Zero.
I have no idea.
No idea.
And I don't think either of my sisters have an idea either. We tend to kind of jump in on each other's. I don't have a plan for my brother-in-law. I have a plan for one of my brother-in-laws, not for the other.
It'll come to you. It'll come. I still don't even have my partner as present. Like, my partner is so nice to me. Olivia literally worships the ground that I walk on, and like has had my present for weeks. And I'm like, yeah, still don't have yours. Like, what is wrong with me?
It's okay.
It's okay.
What I do every year is I get most of the people done early, and I feel really confident. And then there's always like 3 stragglers, and then it's a week before Christmas, and I go, fuck!
I know. Well, the thing is I need to go, once I go home, my dad and I also have this tradition. We haven't done it the last couple years, I don't think, but this year, like, I sincerely need to do it. On Christmas Eve, we actually go to the mall.
Oh, you've told me about this, which sounds like the most stressful thing.
Yeah, but I guess like growing up, like I was like totally okay with it. It would be him and I, and we would go and shop for my mom. And so like I kind of just like got used to that. And so like I need to go get Aiden's present at the mall. Like I have the presents in mind. It's just like the date of getting them is not here yet.
Ooh, quick rant. And this is something that I see all year round, but obviously more at Christmas because more people are getting Christmas or more people are buying gifts. It infuriates me, the number of men who will come in, I mean, not just men, but vast majority men who will come in and very last minute are trying to get something for their partner. And like, I don't know what's more infuriating. I mean, I do much more infuriating. It's infuriating when they come in, they literally can't tell me if they're like anything about what their partner likes. But it's also annoying when they're like, are like they want something very specific, and it's like, so that's gonna take a couple weeks to come in, and it's like, well, yeah, maybe you should have started this more than 5 days in advance. Like,
yeah.
Or like when I worked at Lulu, people would come in literally the day before Christmas Eve and be like, why do you not have the most popular item for stock? And it's like, because we sold out of that 3 weeks ago. You need to think more than 4 days in advance. And it just makes me sad, particularly with women, because like women are generally responsible for like within heteronormative relationships are generally responsible for like not only getting gifts for like extended family members and for kids if they have them and for their partner, and then their partner can't even deal with it more than 5 days in advance, and so like they end up getting something that like they don't think their partner will like as much because they can't get the thing that they actually want because that needs to be ordered more than a week in advance.
Yeah, I feel like for anything that is popular, like Uggs, for example, like a couple weeks ago, my mom was like, I was wearing Uggs, and she's like, wait, weren't those on your Christmas list? And I was like, Yeah, but I bought them for myself because they're going to sell out.
Yeah.
You know, like I just think that, yeah, you do, especially for certain things. When I know something needs to be like done prior, like I will do it. When I know that I can get it like the day before, I'll do it the day before, which is maybe not the best quality.
I think it's fine. It just like makes me sad that like women are so ignorant of like, I even remember like when my sister and I realized like, oh, who's doing my mom's stocking every year? Her. And so my sister and I took over doing that because like
my mom doesn't even have a stocking.
Like, yeah. And like how there's the whole
Neither
SNL
does my
sketch
dad.
about it. And like, I don't know. It's just like I even saw someone making like a video today about like the magic of Christmas is your mom. Like your mom is putting in so much work to make these holidays happen.
Magic of Christmas is mother in every household.
Exactly.
Agreed.
And just like I forget I don't remember where I was going with this, but it makes me so sad to like, particularly I think when it's someone's partner and it's just like, oh, you care so little about them that you couldn't have, or like particularly because I'll see so many men come in and be like, I'm buying something and for my wife's birthday, and I'm like, when's their birthday? And they're like, today. And I'm like, you couldn't have done it like more than the day of.
Yeah. Or I think it makes me sad to hear like they don't know anything about her taste. Like that's really sad.
Like when I ask like silver and gold and they're like, I don't know. And I'm like,
oh, that means you're really not listening.
Yes. And I think like I think a big reason why so often male partners get female partners gifts they don't like is because they are buying gifts for like, what would a woman like? What would a girlfriend like? Not like, what would your partner like? Like,
yeah.
That's why like if I Googled like, you can Google gifts for dad, and like a lot of it is like barbecuing, which my dad does like, but like a lot of it is tools, which my dad is terrible. He built a bookshelf for my mom once and it collapses in a couple hours. He's terrible at that shit. He does not particularly enjoy it.
So is my dad. He hates building
shit. He's awful at that. But like that, you shouldn't be shopping for a girlfriend. You should shop for what does your girlfriend like.
100%.
We don't have many male listeners, so I don't really know who this rant is for.
What does your girlfriend like? Listen to her. But that's the thing about gift giving. It's all about listening.
Yes.
And knowing that person, knowing like whether it's their sense of humor, their personality.
Like,
yes.
The year when I was in a relationship, I don't remember everything I got them, but I got them a couple of smaller gifts, and one of them was like a speaker because theirs have been having issues, and like it was gifts very specifically about them. And I don't remember exactly what they got me, but it was like very much felt like what happens if you Google like what to buy your girlfriend for Christmas.
You know what?
Like the heart-shaped jewelry. Like
I was literally going to say the heart-shaped Tiffany necklace.
I mean, mine was not Tiffany. Mine was, I remember I was wearing in the shower and he was like, you probably shouldn't wear that in the shower. And I went, so then I'm not going to wear it because I can't go in the shower. I'm not going to wear it. I will take it off and it will never go back on.
Yeah.
But I remember being like a little let down because they were very primarily things that like you would get a girl.
Right.
Not me, the person you spent untold time with for months.
Right. And I feel like now, and look, I do think that it should be a little bit more tailored than this to the personality, but I have seen some amazing women get on TikTok and talk about some really great ideas that are just more than just like the heart-shaped necklace that can be like, and look, maybe platform Uggs aren't that thoughtful, but if your girlfriend is really into fashion and style, like that is a good gift for her. So like I just think there's abundance of resources now that men can use, but what they really should use are their ears, which I know is hard for you.
Again, we don't really have many male listeners, and I kind of like it that way.
That was sassy. But even like, let's say whoever your partner may be.
Do you like how we're giving this advice way too late?
I know, guys. Why the fuck are we giving this advice right now? Honestly, I'm gonna shut up
We've
because
covered a lot of topics.
we have. I'm gonna shut up because one, we're going past time, and two, like Christmas is gonna be over. No, wrong. You're gonna hear this tomorrow, but like
5 days before Christmas.
yeah, like what am I doing?
Also,
Anyways.
Hanukkah's fully over,
So let's just
you missed that ship.
Stop. Let's just stop. Anyways, you guys, thank you so much for listening to the podcast this year. We've gone through so many different eras this year, highs and lows, everything in between.
You've seen a lot. You've seen something from me. Not necessarily anything. It's been a year.
Especially in the last couple months, is like we adjust to a bunch of different new life circumstances. Like I feel like sometimes episodes can be all over the place, and we just appreciate you guys coming back, showing support, and being here and enjoying our cluelessness.
This podcast genuinely has changed both of our lives, like genuinely in a very positive way. Like not in the way of like Alex Earl blowing up on TikTok, but like this podcast has had a such a positive impact on my life and has really changed so many things. And so I'm very thankful to all of you who listen.
Yes.
And I hope that something helpful can be garnered from all of the nonsense we say.
All of this nonsense that we talked today, and we can't wait for the new year. We can't wait to bring more guests, more episodes, more ideas. I really hope we drop okay, I'm gonna just like put this out there. I hope by the time we're recording this episode next year, we have dropped merch, because I have a really good merch idea for us, and my fingers are crossed that we can do it. But yes, I think it'll be a fun new year. We wish you guys a great new year.
And I wish you all like a little fresh start, because couldn't we all use a little bit of a clean slate? Give yourself a clean slate. Like, just for everything you did or didn't do this year, just try and forgive yourself. And not perfectly, but like just try and forgive yourself a little.
I agree with that. I agree. We love you guys. We hope you have an amazing Tuesday, an amazing week.
An amazing end of 2023.
Yes. A Merry Christmas, a Happy Hanukkah, a Happy Holidays, and do not forget to be motherfucking clueless. Bye, everyone. Happy holidays.
2023 can burn. 2024, please be more lucky. This is from us.
This has been a 58 Ember production. For more shows, please visit the 58 Ember channel, 58ember.com, or find us at 58 Ember Media on socials.